You know what the big table means. How you doing, everybody? This is Jason's House of Fun and Video Games, bringing you today another vid, The Collection. Down the Rabbit Hole We Go, Volume 4. And what are we going to look at? I talked about this, what was it now? Almost 5 years ago. I unearthed my Goosebumps collection. I knew I had it, I just didn't know where, and when I was moving, I found it, and I was like, wow, this should make a really good video, and kind of started the wheels turning on the collection playlist vids that I do, just to get some extra time to talk about things, not that I already have enough, and give very detailed, specific reasons why I still have this, why I collect it, do I want to do it again? Is there more to get? There's always more to get. We bring a lot of great, fun, entertaining content at the House of Fun and Video Games. And this is no different. The last vid that we did was an update to my NECA collection, which happens to stand right there. And I gotta honestly tell you something. I am very surprised at how well that video was received. Lots of great comments. Ton of views. I did not expect that. Is that always the necessity and the reward that is given to me when I do these things? I mean, it's nice. It shows that I'm doing something right for creativity for me and for entertaining, or maybe just giving you a moment to step away from the harsh reality sometimes that is the world we live in. Or you could just be looking for something for fun. Or you could be looking for a number of reasons why you should stay away from collecting. I don't know. That's up to you to decide, not me. So I'm very happy to finally get to this. 4 or 5 years in the making. As they say, better late than never. Where's it from? I'll let you know. I'll let you let me know. In the comments, as always. And the topic we're going to cover today is Goosebumps. What are Goosebumps? When you have a certain sensation, a feeling, or something that's undescribable, you get these little bumps on your skin, you get excited. No, that's not what I'm talking about. I mean, that's kind of somewhat accurate, I think, but Goosebumps are these. And these were one of the huge reasons why I like to read. Why is Goosebumps important to me? Important to history. Nostalgic. Almost at the level of vintage. I think, right? It's getting really close, I would have to say. If it's not already there. I gotta look that up when I do these things, and I always tell myself you're gonna have to look up the proper usage for the word vintage retro. There's gotta be something in the way. There's going to be something in the way. That sounds familiar. Oh, I know why it's a song. There's got to be a reason why I haven't done it, but I give you my word, I'm going to look it up eventually to know when to properly use that. I feel vintage right now, because I probably am, right? 41. I'd say I'm pretty vintage. That's okay. I'm good with that. Pretty vintage. Not really a way to correctly put that sentence together, but it's the House of Fun and Video Games, and we do what we want. Goosebumps was a series of books released from the 90s. I think it was more mid-90s. I think all the way into the 2000s. I don't know if they're still released at all today. And if they are, that's cool. I mean, I've seen some things out there. But these Goosebumps and what you may see today, and even in the 2000s, were very different. I think this is where the buck stopped for me. Why was I interested in it? I mean, I'll lift it up again. And being a horror fan and everything like that, like, how could you say no to that? The Goosebumps word is embroiled. R.L. Stine, there's nothing else on it as embroiled. But these original ones, they're embroiled. And they certainly got that 90s book smell. If you know what that is, let me know. I had really no interest in reading books. I read a number of books And I hope to continue to read more because knowledge is power. Someone once said, I believe. But back in those days, I was consumed with hanging out with my friends, running around with a radio, not like a big giant boom box. That's 80s style. I had a smaller one, and listening to Mortal Kombat over and over again, running up and down the streets. I think that's probably where I was around this time when these things started becoming available, 93 to 95, something like that. Can't remember. It's been a while. Like I said, it's the vintage here, so. When I saw these, and I don't know how it was, I don't know how I came about it. It may have been a commercial, and it may have been a mixture at school, because when I was in middle school, because this is probably when it came out, elementary, middle school, somewhere around there. When I found it was in, I think at the very end of elementary, so maybe 5th grade. And I was like, wow, that looks really cool. You know, I'm into Friday the 13th, I'm in Elm Street. All the, hoopla and stuff that comes with horror, Halloween. I have fun with it. I would enjoy it. Addams Family. I'm looking over here. Some of my posters that kind of, make a man realize he's got a lot of likes in this world. Lot. But I found them interesting. Word on the street, word on the school bus, whatever it may have been at that point in time. People really enjoy this, so they were awesome. So word of mouth goes around. And these things did really well. Like, so they a lot, right? I started reading them. I really liked them. I had to keep getting them. And it actually wasn't too hard to get. You know why? And for most of us, I think we could speak to this who lived through this part. We were always asked to read more or do this or that or the other thing and be studious. That's at least where I come from. So when we asked for a book, and not a game, not a toy, not a new bike, not some crazy thing, a pony maybe, a donkey, I don't think I've ever asked for that. I probably should have. I think the answer would have been the same no matter what. No, but would have been fine. Maybe I asked for a horse once. I don't know, can't remember. But either way. That was our instant buy-in on being able to get these and not get any constraints put on us. Like, oh, we could do this, that, the other thing. Parents jumped up and down just because you, me, whoever was around during that time, wanted to read. We're going to dig into some Goosebumps and see if your boy here has a whole collection. It's time to make this table useful, even though it takes up 3/4 of the room, and I can move a little bit better. I figured things out. See? I did that beforehand. So it doesn't take 5 hours to do this. Let's fill this empty table up with some Goosebumps. Take a trip down memory lane. Nostalgia lane, to be exact. And see if it still gives us that awesome feel it did back in the 90s. We'll be right back. I don't have any messages, so we're just going to be back. And the table's going to be here, and we're going to rock and roll. We're going to get this going. So I appreciate you all coming by and hanging out. Let's get the Goosebumps in and on the table. That's it. That's all I got. Here's one. Attack of the Mutant. It's orange. Embroiled or embossed? I think it's embossed. I messed up on that. Let's go. All right. And we're back as always. Let's get a wide view of this, if I may. We're going to have to do this in 2 different clips. Yeah, looks pretty good though, right? Not too shabby. We got our wide view here. Yes, indeedy. So I do not have all of them, but I'm pretty close. And we'll go over the statistics at the very end. But just look at some of these titles, look at some of these books, the names, the faces, the fact that it's embossed. I don't think embroiled is the correct terminology, so we'll call it embossed. These books were so much fun to read. It really changed a lot of things for me. I was very interested in reading at this point. So many cool tales that were scary, but not too scary. But again, I just got done telling you that I loved horror. You know, Freddy, Jason, Michael, Chucky, Pinhead, etc. So scary was very different than for me than it was for most. Just look at some of these iconic titles. The Cuckoo Clock of Doom came from Beneath the Sink. Night of the Living Dummy. I think it's got 3 of those, or it should have 3 of those. We'll be able to figure that out momentarily. Barking ghosts like these just bring me back, just looking at them. And unfortunately, with some of these, as you'll see coming up very soon, is the price you pay for storage on some of these items. I think... Oh, there's one right there, sorry. Yeah, so sometimes things will get ripped and stick, and that really grinds my gears. That really boils my blood. I ain't pissed. But the hunt will be much better for a better copy of it. And there we go right there. Egg Monsters from Mars. This is kind of towards the end where it's the 40s and 50s. I believe there was 60-something, maybe 62 books in total. We'll definitely be able to get you that after we're done here. The Vampire's Breath. So cool. Calling all creeps, beware of the snowman. How I Learned to Fly. Yeah, that's different. Chicken, and Don't Go to Sleep. So, again, we're not looking to really spend too much time looking at every single one of these, because that would take a lot of time, but I know I did get the first 10 of them, I think, right off the rip, as soon as I found out. I don't think I have exactly 10, but again, moving multiple times, this is kind of what happens. But still, really cool stuff. One of my favorites has got to be the Haunted Mask. I think that's definitely on a lot of people's favorites list for sure. And I believe there was a sequel to it as well, which there was, which is pretty cool. We got a few more to go through. We're going to toss those up. And then these ones down here, we'll just go over it now. Shivers, I don't know what that is, why that's in there, but these are the doubles that I was able to find. So maybe that's why I got confused. Or maybe I'd never had a lot more than what I thought at all. I mean, I have a good amount of them, but I thought I had more. We're going to have to take a look at that clip. And let's clear off the table and let's get some more books on here. There's only a few more left. We'll get to the recap and then a few other things before we end the vid. Just some things I'm kind of toying around with. Some things that I saw out in the wild that I kind of want to share with you and see what your thoughts are. So, great books. Great stories. I don't know about the later ones, but Goosebumps certainly did it for me. Ghost Reach. That kind of reminds me of, what was that game? I'm looking at it. Is it there? Yep. That kind of makes me think of Chiller. Don't know why, but maybe it's just the look of the book. I don't know. I'm not really sure what does it for me, but we're going to go eat some worms. Now we're going to get some more books together and I'll wrap this up. So, hope you're having fun so far. We'll get into much more conversation. Let's get this done so I get this table out of here so I can have my little part of the piece of the pie back to me. And I think these are going really well by doing it in this format. Easier for me to really visualize, figuratively speaking, verbally speaking, for you to visually see and understand what I'm saying in a large sum, and it's overwhelming. If there's anything that I can appreciate with collecting, overwhelming has got to be at the top. We'll be back. Deep trouble. Here we go again. Last round of Goosebumps books. Here we go with a few more. This one right here is number 61. These right here, I'm going to check also to see, before we get to our next clip, of course, how many of these there actually were. Because the monster editions are compilations of usually 3 books, I believe. So the first 3 books are right there. At one point in time, I think there were 12 something, if I remember. Don't ask how I know that. Look at that, I was right. $12.95. $17.99 in Canada. Yeah, so that's got the Night of the Living Dummy, Night of the Living Dummy 2 and 3. That's awesome. And I believe that both of these, if I'm not mistaken... Oh, where would they be, though? That's the question. I've shown them on my videos a few times. I think they might be on here. That's not who I was thinking of. They stand up, and then you press the button, and they make a certain noise. I do not know where they are, but they're somewhere here. So I think that with those books, if I'm not mistaken, came figures that stood up, kind of like how these guys do, but had the little square block almost, and you press the Goosebumps logo, and it does the, generic, like, Halloween-ish scream, but not like the real generic one. You know how there's like generic female Halloween scream, or generic female horror scream, or generic male horror scream? Like, I think if you would have to understand what I'm talking about, you would have had CDs that are based on the season of Halloween, and not necessarily like something that was mass release, like huge success, like Gold Platinum. I'm not talking about things like that. I'm not talking about compilations of like music, like Thriller would obviously be in there. The theme from The Exorcist, Friday the 13th, Nightmare on Elm Street, Child's Play, Halloween. And there's probably a bunch of others I'm not really thinking about right now. I know I have one or 2 of them somewhere. Excuse me. Monster Mash, I think, was on one CD. Love Potion number 9. I think it may have been. I don't know if it's really Halloween, or maybe I'm kind of getting confused, but maybe. But the different time periods of songs that are geared towards Halloween. But there's also ones that, if you remember, really, really early on, I gotta find one. Because either I have it somewhere buried in this room, which I have all my CDs down there that I've collected over the years at the thrift. I have a whole bunch more, parked away somewhere in the garage. That's, something maybe we could take a look at my CD collection. Oh my God, we'd be here for like 5 hours. Well, not really. I think I could get through it pretty quick. Doing it like this, I think I could get through it pretty quick. Any collection, actually, we're going to do it this way. So much easier. It may be in the Closet of Doom. I don't think it is. Not that I remember. I think I pretty much got everything out that I needed to for the time being. But certain tracks on the songs will say something around those lines, and it's really funny. So when I say that, I don't even know if male or female generic Halloween scream or whatever it would have fit. Because it's very specific to Goosebumps. So maybe it would be generic scream from Goosebumps. I don't know. I don't think I've ever heard this type of scream before. That sounds really bad. And leave your mind where it is, please. Because I just thought of that. I got you. Before you got me. I don't think I've ever heard it before. I wish I had it, but I'm pretty sure by now... battery's probably long gone. And one of them might go... if you've ever had, something like that for a long time where it doesn't get used a lot, but the batteries have just worn out their welcome. They don't last forever. Like, none of this will last forever. And we do our best to preserve as much as we can, but, it's kind of life and you got to deal with it. But I wish I had it. If I could find it, I'm going to randomly throw it in another video at some point so that what I'm articulating you can actually hear. And then I'll get generic screams out if I could find a CD that has generic screams, or at least the title. So I don't know, would that be copyrighted? I don't know if it would be. I mean, maybe? It's a Scream. I don't know. I have no idea. It's a Scream, baby. Not that Scream. Not that Scream. Not that Scream. That Scream's awesome. Great movie. Brought back the horror genre to the mainstream. Blew up. Meta and all that other stuff that people talk about. But Scream's awesome. Saw it in the theaters. Yeah, I'm that old. What was I gonna say? Yeah, I don't know. We'll get back to that at some point in time. You will either see a CD. Excuse me. Up a little late last night. Well, fell asleep in here watching a video from another YouTuber, and that was the end. And I woke up early in the morning. I was like, huh? I gotta get to bed. Like, oh, apparently I was already to bed. I don't know. It happens. What can you do? But if I can never track down the CD or those figures so I can articulate in the most visually and verbal way, I will. That's basically what I was trying to say. So these things I don't see around very much at all. These I see every now and then, but those go for a pretty good price on the E of the Bay. On the Bay of eBay. And I'm sure other selling sites as well. I've seen it. I'm like, wow. Like I've seen like somebody's pristine collection go for like $300 to $500. Now, will it actually sell at that? That's a completely different story for another day. I think there's a lot of fans. I think there's a lot of nostalgia for this right now. I think you probably could get that. I don't think I did that. I think I may have gotten that around the tail end. Oh, wait a minute. Will it do it? Oh, man. Complete accident. Do you see that? I completely forgot. In this book, here we go with the age again, or the year. I don't know when this is from, but that still works. So that means, oh, no, this one doesn't have it. Wow. Huh. Don't be a dummy. Check out Goosebumps Monster Edition 2. It's a real scream. So, does this supposed to scream as well along with the other thing? Was the other thing not included in this? Man, am I having a moment. I'd figure that out. So many questions. So little time. What do we got to do here? Push the mouth? There we go. You're getting sleepy. All right. It's time to wrap up the mystery on whether I have all the copies of Goosebumps. Do a quick adjustment here. I had to do that because of the way I got stuff going on. So, it is what it is. There we go. I'll show you the back of these. Really cool. Awesome collection. Yes, yes, yes. It's a whole bunch of Goosebumps. So, if I may straighten myself out here just a tad. I think I did. We're going to read off the teleprompter here because that's what we're going to do. So, Goosebumps was originally released in 1992. So, I was pretty close, but not as close as I thought I was. I was off by a couple of years. So, in 92, yeah, I would have still been in elementary school. And then it ended. The first run of the books ended in 1997. There would be other iterations of Goosebumps. And from the numbers that I've seen, the original Goosebumps themselves, 62. 62. Why is that important? Well, I'll tell you why. There are, and I counted twice, 61 books there. I'm missing one. One book and I would have had this complete collection. These are my originals. I know these are the ones that I had. These are not part of the thrifted ones. These ones down here. I think I had a few more. I think I did. I just can't remember. Maybe buried inside that treasure trove of a garage with the 5 billion totes. There may be one tote that contains number 62. But if I don't, it's okay. Because from this day forward, we're officially on the hunt to completing the Goosebumps collection. Number 62, you will be mine. You will be mine. What's it from? Compilations, or monster editions rather. There's apparently 12 of them. Am I going to go after all of those ones? I've seen a few of them that look really cool. Those aren't the ones that bring me back to Nostalgia Lane. They're cool. I like the fact that the lights still light up. I definitely know one of my favorite stories, 100%, was The Night of the Living Dummies. Night of the Living Dummy. That was definitely 100%. That sounds fairly familiar to a certain film, doesn't it? That's pretty interesting. It's a very clever, very clever. Although, you know, zombies and mannequins are very different, but nevertheless, that's pretty cool. I don't think I have any interest in doing that, but I do have an interest in getting number 62, and maybe, like I said, with these, some of them stuck together. Like, this is just what happens in time, and you can't preserve. Let me make that a little more clear than it coming out as garbage of the mouth, diarrhea of the mouth. I wasn't able to fully preserve these. They have been bounced around since the 90s. Like, you know, a lot of my, you know, for example, we looked at some of the NECA figures. I have a very clean collection of mint on card action figures. And some of them just, and I tried to clean some of them, but you got to be very careful. When you're cleaning things that aren't meant to have water on them, and there's ways to do it, there's a lot of tips and tricks out there. That's not what this channel is about. If there's something that I find is interesting like that, I'll let you know on how I did it, but I don't have a how-to guide for really anything. Just what I know and what I experience. Some of those could be a lot better, but again, it's just Father Time marching on, right? That's just what happens. So, what do I get to say about wrapping up here? If you want to get into collecting and actually have a lot of fun with reading a book, not that it's impossible to read a book, go ahead and grab them. Before we get to the recap in the end, let's go over a few other things here. There's apparently 235 Goosebumps books in the entire series. The first series ran, meaning these 62 books, including some of these compilations, I'm sure, were much later, 1992 to 1997. Let me see here what else we have here. You know that we've got to include a few other ones. And of course, we talk about rarity. We're all about the rare stuff. It's always good to have the flex. You know what I'm saying? Not much flex there, but you know what I'm saying. It's always good to have some flex and have some fun. Out of the other ones, though, before I get to that, 21 duplicates. So all those books down there, 21 duplicates, including Shivers. I don't know what Shivers was. I think Shivers was a way to try to grab some of that Goosebumps fame and fortune. I don't think Shivers did so well. Could have. Maybe I just don't know, but I don't even know how I got that. I thought it looked cool. Let's take a look at it before we keep going. I think that looks cool, right? Will he Waha? What does that mean? I don't know, but that's a cool looking cover. Have you ever heard of this? Because I don't even remember reading this. I don't know where it came from. It was $3.99 at one point. I wonder what... Again, here we go with this date crap. Oh, that's interesting. It came from Plantation, Florida. Okay, look at that. No, it's not a joke there, folks. That's 100% true. So, let's see if we can get a tape. Oh, Shivers, by the way, is trademarked. Shame on you if you use it. There we go, right there. Oh, I found that pretty quick. 1996. So in the middle, the Goosebumps Mania, right before, the end of the 62 run, the original, that was available. I'm sure there's many others. I didn't do any research on that because I just thought it looked cool. Last and certainly not least, according to the fan base and statistics, there are 4 rare books. the word rare is so overused, oversaturated material. Rare, grail. Like, these things can be interesting, but I think that the saturation with the word and what we presume to be that or the other is very subjective. But we'll just say rare books to keep it straight and forward. And there are 4 rare books. You guess which ones they are? Let's see if we can try to adjust that again. Out of all these books, what do you think the rarest ones are? You would say the first couple, but I mean, that's what I thought. But nope, that's incorrect. So the ones that are the rarest, and there's a specific reason for it, is number 47. What do we got here? 47. What are the other ones here? 60. 61. And you guessed it, 62. So I have 3 out of the 4 rare ones. That's pretty cool. Get some of that flex. I gotta put Bray Wyatt back. He shouldn't be on his back like that. I don't know why I said it like that. It's kind of creepy as shit, but he's got to stay there and keep an eye on the finals and the with the other guys here. I got hired hands. What the fuck? I've got hired hits here. Yeah, you got a moon, you got the cobra, swamp thing, and all this other stuff here. It's a protection. It's not. That's a figment of my imagination, like many other things. But I think it looks cool, right? That looks cool. I think it looks cool. I appreciate you taking this journey with me. We will now continue our journey at the thrift at some point in time. Because I'm not buying that on eBay. Oh, no, man. Oh, yeah. We're going to go to the Goodwill. We're going to go to the other thrifts we have around. And we're going to find number 62. And it's going to be a great day. Because then we're going to put that right in that stack. Right there. Right at the bottom. And we will officially have owned the original first editions of Goosebumps and take our rightful place as the champion. I don't even know what the hell was going on there as the champion of collecting Goosebumps books. I don't know what I was doing there. I was going for a Macho Man. Haven't had a thing of water in like an hour. Didn't work out too well. I could do an alright Macho Man. I could do an alright Hogan too. Well, let me tell you something, brothers. I can do an alright Hogan. I'm not super good with it. It is really hard to have that kind of energy. I don't even think it's the tone. I think it's the energy with certain things. Way off topic. Trying to wrap this up. I swear. Just who I am. The tone, mannerisms are things that you can imitate. The energy can never be duplicated, but you can get as close as you can. So when I'm in a real, let's cut a promo brother mood, I can do those pretty well. I do a good few other ones as well. I've done them before. Pretty funny stuff, but nevertheless, let's get to the recap. Thank you for hanging out with me. And that's it. That's all we got. So, what do we got here? Oh, I know what we have here. Before the recap, shiver me timbers. It seems like there's a storm a-coming. In Florida, from June to, we'll call it late October, early November, we are officially in rain season. Tip for the day. It rains randomly. It can rain here and then right across the street or behind me. It could not be raining. It's very strange. Nature is a weird thing. Florida weather is unique. Nevertheless, I see a storm approaching, so I'll try not to keep you for too long because it's going to get really loud out here very soon. I think it's got probably another half an hour, but you know how I can go. I can yenter it up for 15 years if I really, really, really want to. Whew. We went over a lot. To end the Goosebumps conversation, Goosebumps for me was a great time, a lot of fun, and drew out a lot of great conversations with a lot of folks my age and really got me into reading. There's that. We'll wait. They do this from time to time. Usually, I don't know, 3 to 4 times a day. This is called the howling session, where they let everybody know that they're here. And it will end at some point. I may not include this, I don't know. Oof. I have 5 dogs. That's all 5 of them hooting and hollering in there. Okay. That's how fast it is. 30 seconds, right? About that, 40 seconds maybe. Goosebumps, awesome, amazing set of books. Reintroduced me to having fun while reading. This isn't a public service announcement or anything like that, and I think that I see a lot less of that. Books out in the wild don't interest me as much as, like I said before, unless it's, pop culture related or maybe some history. It's just some of these covers, it's just like the movie covers, VHS covers, Laserdisc covers, even DVDs. Amazing. But other ones, like Blu-rays are pretty cool, some 4Ks are cool. It's just different. It just looks different. I guess maybe that's the reason why I'm nostalgic for it. And the reason why we always hang out in the game room doing these vids is because it's nostalgia lane, and I can take myself out of whatever's going on and bring something creative and something fun and a piece of time for somebody to look at some point, have some fun, or think I'm crazy, or whatever it may be. Different times. I don't know where I was going with that, but hey, it's cool. We're on the road for number 62. We'll eventually get it, and we'll find it in the wild. I'm very confident in that. I just got to remember number 62 when I look at Goosebumps and not get any other ones I don't need. It's a habit when you go to the thrift. You just see something cool and you're like, I need to buy it. And then you go, I have like 40 of them. Damn. There are other ways to get rid of it, but nevertheless, we're not going to get into that. This isn't a Thrift Time and Finds video, but let me know what your thoughts are in the comment section down below. That is why it is there, so we can have some fun and communicate. Bounce some ideas off me. Tell me how things are going. Tell me how you felt the video went. Do you like the big giant table in the middle of the room? Do you find it hilarious that I have such a small room and I put a giant table in the middle of it? 3/4 of the room are taken up with other stuff, and then there's this little tiny corner that I could sit in and barely move, and if I fell, something's going to break. I find it funny. But let me know what your experience is with Goosebumps. Do you even know what the hell that is? Did you get into the later editions that I'm not too familiar with? I've seen them, but again, they just didn't have that classic Goosebumps look, and they didn't have the embossed logo of Goosebumps on there. It means the whole world. It's something small and little, but slipcovers are cool for movies, and good-looking games and mint-on card action figures. It just all kind of goes together, doesn't it? And I'm getting pretty hot. It's already pretty hot out here. I don't know how hot it is. It's in the 90s, maybe 100. That's okay. Got a nice little breeze coming through because the storm is coming. I see you right beyond yonder. Now that we got that out of the way, other places to find me, to reach out to me, to have the conversation go a little bit further. Facebook at Jason South's Fun Video Games. We're also on X at Jason South's Fun Video Games. Again, I've said it many times, I don't really typically use it too much, and not a lot of conversation comes out of that. Conversation comes more off of Facebook. And also TikTok at Jason South's Fun Video Games. I found TikTok in the last year, and I will tell you, I wish that I got into it much earlier. Again, it's not about the views, it's not about the likes. Those are very cool and appreciated. And if this was a business adventure for me, I think I would have a different outlook, so I understand the whole game and the gimmick behind it. I just like to have fun, and I get so many different interactions with so many different people. on the YouTube and on the TikTok that it's just, it's crazy. I'm just watching a random truck just, I don't know how that truck just got to where it went to. It went between two fences. That was really weird. Welcome to Florida. Okay, never seen it before. We'll carry on. I guess I didn't want to go around. I'm like in a kind of like semicircle thing where to get to this side you could just cut through because not all these places have homes built on it yet or fences, so people just drive through. It's cool. It's whatever. It's kind of weird. I wouldn't do that, especially not out here. But nevertheless. The reason why those things are in place is so that we could take the conversation a little bit further. Show me pictures of your game room, pictures of stuff you found at the thrift, pictures you found or things you found in the trash, things you found falling from the sky. There's a million different things that we could do, taking the conversation further by being able to do that. Because on this platform, you cannot do that. I'm sure someday it'll be available. It may be even available today. Okay, so we just did big circle for no reason. Okay, that's weird. Sorry, distracting. That's why I don't come outside much. But I truly appreciate that I have that ability to take the conversation further, have some fun, and show me what you got. I'll show you what I got, because I got plenty. That makes sense? I think it did. Anyway, as I was saying before, one of the last things before we get to the extra part of this video, because there's got to be, right? There's always more, even but when the video ends, there's always more. What was I going to say? Oh, I know what it is. It's the most obvious thing in the room. 298. Huh? 298. What does that represent? It represents a number. It represents how much money I wish I had right now in my hand. Go buy some more stuff. Get some more crap I don't need. It doesn't represent that. It represents 298 awesome, amazing folks who have joined the House of Fun video games, who come back for every video, comment, like, share, all the other happy horseshit in between. Thank you. We are 2 off from 300. I went to a retailer recently, Target, to pick up some stuff there. Nothing crazy. And, you know, whenever I'm at these big box retailers, I love to look at the games, the action figures. Do I always pull the trigger on something? No. But do I like looking at them? Oh, yeah. I mean, I'm glad I did today. I found something pretty cool. I found 2 really cool things. So in these pictures you'll see, one of them is going to be the section of WWE figures. WWE figures are on fire. Now, maybe when I was really heavily into collecting them, I could find most of them pretty good. That was up north. Down here, it is fierce. I think people camp out for them. I think that people know the exact times of when this when the stock hits the shelves, or maybe they're just a happy accident, lucky. I don't know, but and you know, the one thing you've got to realize with retail in general is that plenty of times things are just not going to be sent anymore, which you'll see a lot of yellow clearance labels or red ones, whatever it may be, and then eventually they'll bring you a new set, which requires you to do what we call a planogram change. And then it takes forever to get these things in, and the shelves look like dog shit, and blah, blah, blah. That's just retail in general, not a specific retail, but retail in general. WWE figures are like crazy right now. Like, you don't see any. And I remember when I've gone to that specific retailer and a few others, I saw a whole bunch of Hulk Hogan. Not a specific line. There was an Ultimate Edition. There's Defining Moments. There's all kinds of different lines. Way too much information to go over and the differences and everything like that. But to put it in layman's terms, you have a basic figure, which is a lot of the figures you saw there. You have Legends figures, which are a little more expensive. And then you have the Ultimate, which is like this really super duper figure that has much more forms of articulation and just looks amazing. But you pay for it, you know, they're like $30, $40, something like that, depending on it. And if you go online, forget it, good luck. But I remember seeing a whole bunch of, it was a ultimate, I think it was an Ultimate Hulk Hogan, at some point in time. I forget what it was. Maybe it was an '80s one or a later 2000s one or whatever. Because it's different incarnations of Hulk Hogan. The reason why I bring that up is Hulk Hogan passed away last week, which is crazy. He was 71 years old. For me, Hulk Hogan was a huge part of me watching WWF, very early 80s, 90s, and then 2000s they would switch to WWE. Man, just a different time. And again, I could sit here for hours just talking about the amount of fun I used to have. And I got to see him once, but not in person. I saw him at a show. I think it was SummerSlam '95. And not a lot of things were really like get me to do something like that. You kind of go through life and, eventually maybe it's just me. Things just don't really grab you like that. But I remember that feeling. I remember when that music hit. I remember when I saw the red and the yellow, and I was just like, wow, I just got transferred back to my childhood. I think that was one of the moments where nostalgia really bit me. And I was like, wow, nostalgia, because I heard somebody say it. And it's just, again, I knew what it meant, but it didn't hit me because it was 2005. And we're 20 years later, where now it's a very different thing. As you get older, I think nostalgia is important. Just don't get lost in it. It's just my opinion. But that was just a different moment. That's a moment I'll never get back. And the one thing I did want to be able to do, and there's a few others, of course, I would really, truly love to do this. And I've done it once for one other person. They were really like taken back by it. Because I have such an interesting approach with things like that, where people, commonly, and again, this is subjective, but that I've seen in my experiences, people who meet folks that are famous, want autographs and pictures, and there's all kinds of other stuff that kind of goes with that. But I met somebody pretty famous. It was at a concert. It was, I think it was probably around 20 years ago. And it doesn't matter who it was. It wasn't a long conversation. A bunch of people I was with wanted some autographs, stuff like that. And the gentleman looked at me and said, so, do you have anything you want me to autograph? Just giving out some free autographs. I just figured it'd be nice to have a conversation with some of the folks before we go on stage. And I sat there and I thought about it and I go, no, I don't. And that took that person back. And when they asked why, I said, the only thing that I want to do for you is to say thank you. And that I appreciate what you're doing. I appreciate your entertainment that you present. Your music is something different. It's beautiful. I just want to say thank you. And they were so taken back by that. And then I think it hit them that I don't know how many conversations like this I will have. I would have appreciated a photo, but back then, our cameras were awful and the phones were dying. And you could throw them off a skyscraper, Nokias and Nextels, but the batteries and the reception on them were shit. The shits, right? So I ended up getting my arm, a nice little signature on my arm, just because I was being funny. I'm like, sign my arm. Who gives a shit? It's fine. I just want to say thank you. It's more important. And I hope that with all the millions of interactions that individual had, I hope that may have stuck with them. Not me, not my face. Like, things just fade away after time, as time rolls on. That's a little clue there. I'll leave that there so you can think about that. But, there are some of us out there that just want to do that. Like, when I wanted to meet Hogan, I went to the beach shop. It's in Orlando. I was hoping maybe he'd just be hanging around, but he's in Clearwater, or was in Clearwater. He's passed away now. And I was hoping maybe just by happy accident. There's other ways you could see him. They announce events and stuff like that to go see him and autographs and everything. But I just wanted to see him, and I wanted to say the same thing. Thank you, but thank you in a different way, because that was the other person was thank you for helping me kind of get through some really tough times, and that's when I was starting to become an adult. Where Hogan would have been thank you for making my childhood just a little bit better, make it a lot better, giving me a reason to have some fun and good conversations to have with folks that were productive, and then they could be funny and they could be subjective, even though at the time I wouldn't have known what the hell that meant. But that's all I wanted to do, was just say thank you. And a photo would have been awesome, would have been great. But if I could have just said thank you, shook the hand, if that was applicable in the conversation, in the situation, I would have felt pretty good. So I guess this is my way of just saying thank you for the memories and everything else. And I've been watching a lot of Network or WWE on Peacock, whatever it is. I sound like a commercial, but I've got to explain what the hell I'm doing. And they got a lot of things on there. They've done a lot of tributes to him and everything like that. And it's just gonna. I don't think things will be the same, and you will, like with the Ultimate Warrior, with the Macho Man Randy Savage, Scott Hall, also known as Razor Ramon, Yokozuna. There's so many that stick into my head that have come and gone that like they will not be somebody like that person. They're very unique, whether it was their gimmick or their personality that we saw on television through essentially a TV series. That's definitely one that, without going too deep into it, like did something that not most can say. He made the transition globally and boomed their business. And again, this isn't a history lesson, and I don't really think it's something to really spend a lot of time on. But man, it's been a tough week. Ozzy, Hogan, and then the week before, I believe, was Michael Madsen. He's in a ton of movies. Donnie Brasco, Species, Reservoir Dogs, Kill Bills. Those are the ones that come to mind. Just awesome actor. Passed away. I think he was 64. It's crazy. And Ozzy passed away, and then Hogan passed away. Just a crazy couple weeks. They say things come in threes, right? Hopefully that's it for a little bit. But hey, listen, that's life and things happen. But I don't want to end on that topic, but it's just got a little distracted. So back to the action figures. One of the things that I did see as well was this thing. I didn't even think it was going to be a thing. I was like, wow, I kind of wanted to pull the trigger on it, but not today. I had other things I had to do. And it was this Turtles vehicle. I'm like, shit, did I have that as a young one? I think I did. And I looked it up, and sure enough, I did have it. I thought that was pretty cool. And then the last thing that I saw that really interested me, other than the very last thing that I saw, because I always go over to it, and it's it has to do with my last video. So what was it? There was like a Star Wars like retro collecting action figures thing. I think there was a early morning bird gets the worm kind of idea back in the late 70s, early 80s, where they would release certain groups of Star Wars figures like this. So it kind of reminded me of that, even though it was a little bit after a little after my time, as another vehicle does the same thing. Okay. I don't know. I'm just distracted because I find that very odd. I would never go into somebody else's lawn like that, but whatever, man. Anyway, they used to have these early bird specials, I think it was called, and like I said, 70s, late 70s, early 80s. A little bit before my time, very little, like just by like a year or two. But I saw this today, I was like, wow, I've seen like replicas of that. Never seen the actual one in person. I'm like, wow, that's so cool. And it looks just like the figures, because I had a few of those. I was fortunate enough, and I think I may have some on the nonsense section where the vinyl is and the Laserdisc. I was fortunate to have those figures. I had, I think I had a Han, I had a Luke, like I had a C-3PO, an R2-D2. I think at one point I had a Vader. I don't know where Vader went. But I thought the cape was weird. It's like felt, not felt. It was something weird. It was almost like vinyl. I think if I remember correctly, they just had a very unique smell to them. But maybe it's because it's a different time. 70s, like really early 80s. You know, where I'm like kind of more in the middle. But nevertheless, I thought that was really cool out there to see. And then also, last but certainly not least, because I just did an update from the house to my NECA figure collection. Here's the NECA figures that are out there. It's great to see that the Halloween 6, or Halloween Curse of Michael Myers rather, and Friday the 13th Ultimate Pamela Voorhees is readily available for everybody. I've been there a few times now, and they've still been there, so it's just good to see. And it takes me back to a time and why I appreciate things like that, because the hunt was awesome. I did end up, getting them both at one point or another. It didn't take too much long. It wasn't like the PlayStation 5 hunt, which was like almost 2 years, it felt like. That was about a year. About a year it took for that. Sometimes it was, I don't know, that may have been the longest I waited to get something. That was newer, not like vintage or looking for the right price or whatever, something on eBay, like that doesn't count. So to see that, it's always good. And not because I'm like a big news channel, because I'm not at all. But last and certainly not least, before we end this and let you go about your business into your regularly scheduled programs, of course, they have apparently decided to release H2O, Michael, and Halloween Resurrection. Both movies, like everything in life, are very subjective to the original, as most are, right? A lot of people love them, a lot of people hate them. I think that I've seen a much more amount of nostalgia and as close to love as you probably could for Resurrection. I've seen a lot of people defend it. Was I a huge fan of it? I like all of it, and it doesn't make it right or wrong. I don't think you like that. It's okay, Frank. That's Frank. Beagle. My Ian dog. We'll get into that at some point in time. Love that guy. I don't know. I don't know why. I think it's something that maybe I heard from Eminem, which is a strange source. I never really bring up music too often on the channel. A few times, like Tupac and Biggie and 90s gangster rap and all that other stuff, and oldies, rock and roll and all that other stuff I listen to, like everything. But I think if things wait, and I can't word it exactly. I can usually drop an Eminem verse like it's no big deal. I used to love him. I still appreciate his music, but just different. Apparently the boy's not happy with him either. But where was I going with this? Maybe it just takes a little time for you to appreciate something that you never saw or never saw any good in. Maybe it just takes that with life and things and items and nostalgia and vintage and retro and all this other shit. So this is all over the place now, so I'm trying to hone in. I can understand it to an extent. Halloween 3 is a great example of it. Halloween 3 bombed at the box office and did phenomenal eventually with VHS, and then developed a cult following that makes it a very appreciated film for most people, other than ones that can't get over the fact that Michael Myers is in it, if not for a few seconds. Whatever. Just the first example I could definitely think of. Maybe that's the thing with Resurrection. Maybe enough time hasn't passed. I think it's very strange how we got there, from beginning to end. Trick or treat. The rest of it. I don't know. Just interesting. I hope that with the H2O figure, if you've ever seen Halloween H2O, is the 7th installment in a very long amount of movies. Lots and lots of movies for Halloween. There is a scene in that movie, many scenes that are interesting, and it's just a different type of Halloween movie. It's definitely a 90s post-Scream movie, 100%. It's got it written all over it, and that's okay too. I still appreciate it. I saw it in the theater. It's amazing. What a great time. People were so happy, and then they let it settle in, and they go, what the hell was that? I'm on a lot of things with that film. one of the things was in one of the scenes later on in the movie, somebody screwed up, I think, and used the wrong mask or something didn't look right or whatever, so they CGI'd the actual Michael Myers mask in, and it is the funniest shit you would ever see. For a true horror fan, it was a horrifying moment, not to be throwing the puns in there, but it was, because it just looked almost as bad as Halloween 4 when they put the wrong mask on when Loomis and Michael, no, I'm sorry, what was it? Was it Loomis and Michael? It was Loomis, Michael, and Jamie, the characters in the school, in her school or whatever. And Michael just has this giant blonde hair, and the mask just, I don't know how they did it. But if they do release Halloween 4 or 5, they've done 6, so they've done 1, 2, and they did something for 3. So 4 or 5, and then we need, obviously Rob Zombies. We already have the Blumhouse ones. So really, it would only be 4 or 5 after these are released zombie movies, because I think it'd be cool to have a NECA figure from both of those as well. I think it'd be awesome. Maybe like an Evolution of Evil. If you look at my last video before this one, you'll see what I'm talking about. It's super cool. I think that'd be really awesome to have. But who knows how that will work, licensing, copyright, all that crap. It's just very complicated, and I don't claim to understand it also. But I'm trying to get to my original point here. I think I lost it, but I'm going to try to reel it back in. They've got to include that mask, and if they ever release Michael Myers from the 4th installment, The Return of Michael Myers, they have to release the blonde mask. The blonde-haired white mask. That's just crazy. If they don't, I'd be kind of disappointed. Because they did do that for, Friday the 13th, Part 5, they released a version of the actual killer in it, and they released a version from the dream sequence of Jason in it, which if you've never seen that and you're like, well, Jason's Friday the 13th, da-da-da-da, it's a whole can of worms. We're not going to get into it. Do what you need to do and figure that out, but I hope they do that, because I think it would be funny to see a CGI Michael Myers mask, because I go, wow, that is what's going to stand the test of time. The movie might not have been the best, but that CGI mask, wow. I think it was that. Was it it was Halloween, it was Part 7, and Part 8, Resurrection. It's just all over the place, so that's why that, other than being bit by the nostalgia bug, maybe not be everybody's favorite. But, again, excuse me, going way too long here. Everything's subjective, so. And now, since I've been out here too long, and I start sweating like I'm under the light. Where were you Friday at 7 o'clock? Well, I was at work, sir. I swear. I think this is pretty cool news. If I'm going to tell you right now what I'd really like to see, finish off the rest of the Halloween series. Again, licensing and all that other crap might be a little complicated. We need Friday the 13th. We need, and I quote, I think I could speak for most people, I need Jason Goes to Hell, Part 8, which has never been released on anything. Jason Goes to Hell has. Part 8. And I think we're good. And a Part 10. Of course, we need an Ultimate Part 10, because we have Ultimates for everything else. If we're just talking NECA figures, of course. And for Nightmare on Elm Street, 4, 5, 6, 7, I don't know, it wouldn't be a big deal to me, but that would be that. Halloween's already went over. Robocop's a ton of those there. Terminators are good. We've got a bunch of those there. Where's John Connor? Just saying. And again, we go on and on and on and on and on. We lose our focus. So, what do you guys think of what's going on in the world of collecting in action figures? Is it insane? Do you see what I see out there? And maybe it's just the timing that I took the picture. Maybe it's the timing I took when I went to the store. But it's just something I haven't brought up, and it's something that, it's just crazy, right? I just look at it and I go, wow. Figures are on fire now. It's wonderful. People are enjoying collecting. I'm sure there's a few out there that are probably doing other things as well. Reselling, scalping, whatever you want to call it. And listen, everything's subjective. I'm not going to pass judgment. It is what it is. But would I rather buy a figure for $19.99? Or would I rather buy a figure for $199? There you go. Is subjectiveness. My decision with that would be for the latter of the two. $19.99 would be a much better price. Probably a little more than $20 with tax, but we're not tax people here. Who cares? Just a lot of money. But anyway, I think that's all I got. I've been cooking out here for long enough. It looks like the storm has passed. So I guess you don't get to hear the thunder or the hail or whatever else is going to be coming my way today. It hasn't rained yet today, but it will. So thank you for joining me. Sorry for a longer than expected ending. Recap, whatever the hell you want to call it. 298, on the road to 300. Goosebumps number 62. Everything we said about the figures. You know what to do. You got questions or comments, leave them in the comment section down below. That's it. That's all I got. I got to go now take another shower because I feel like I just jumped in a pool. But it's not a pool full of chlorine or a pool full of fresh water or a lake or an ocean with salt. It's a pool of sweat. And it's gross. And it sucks. So I'm going to go now. See you again soon. Thank you for all your support. 300 coming. Let's go.